Modern inheritance has shifted from physical trunks and photo albums to the contents of an unlocked smartphone. We now navigate an afterlife made of data, a deceased relative's search history, old text threads, and unsent drafts. There is a specific psychological pull to these archives. Replaying a saved voicemail allows the living to briefly ignore the finality of death, using a digital loop to simulate a presence that no longer exists. The story Booth 3 suggests that this digital preservation might be a two-way street. It explores the idea that recording a final confession doesn't just keep a memory alive, it creates a permanent tether for the person leaving it. This is the fate of a father who pulls over near his home, only to suffer a sudden cardiac event parked in highway shadows. He dies alone, but he leaves behind a single 47-second audio file. It is a voice memo intended for his son, recorded in a diner just minutes before his heart failed. By transforming a common smartphone feature into a vessel for the supernatural, the story turns our reliance on digital ghosts into a form of inescapable dread. The setting for this extraction is a roadside diner with a flickering red sign, a liminal space. These are thresholds, places that exist only to be passed through, where the usual rules of social connection seem to suspend. The waitress here uses nostalgia as a scalpel. She serves a cup of chai without him asking, brewing it to taste exactly like his late wife's recipe. This sensory trigger forces an immediate emotional collapse. He begins cataloging years of silence, the school events he skipped, his failures as a parent, and the pride he never expressed. As he speaks, he feels a sense of weightlessness. He believes he is finally achieving the catharsis he's avoided for decades. Transient locations like this diner are optimized for these moments. Because the space itself feels temporary and disconnected from the real world, it becomes the only place where deeply buried secrets feel safe to voice. The waitress eventually interrupts his confession with a cryptic offer. She explains that the diner keeps these words safe so they don't get lost, suggesting they become part of a permanent collection. She facilitates this by taking the father's own phone and hitting record. She ensures every syllable of his grief is converted into a digital file. The process results in a file titled For Mohad, from Dad, April 2026. It is a precise, time-stamped artifact of his regret. The father leaves the diner immediately after the file saves. He is back in his car, pulling away from the red sign, when his heart stops. The recording doesn't serve the son as intended. Instead, it functions as a physical anchor. By committing his spirit to the digital record, the father has unknowingly tied his consciousness to the physical location where the words were spoken. This diagram illustrates the dual nature of the recording. While one path represents the data stored in a folder, the other represents the soul curving back on itself, forming a closed loop that never leaves the booth. The final seconds of the memo contain a desperate warning. The father tells his son that if he ever finds this place, he must never let the waitress keep his words. Every night at 2:47 a.m., the loop resets. The father is forced to sit in booth 3 and relive the moment he gave his words away, waiting for a listener who never arrives. Booth 3 is the culmination of every sentence held back until it was too late. It is a space built from the weight of things left unsaid, fueled by the hope that a device can fix a lifetime of silence. The father's mistake was treating vulnerability as a deathbed task. He banked on a final, recorded gesture to bridge a gap that required a lifetime of active communication. The end of the audio file and his life are synchronized. As the waveform flattens, biological signals stop. This flat line is the signature of his new existence. It is the silence of the grave and a machine refusing to let his spirit rest. When we wait until the very end to speak, we risk leaving our most important words behind glass, unlocked, yet forever out of reach. The father is still in booth 3, waiting for his son to hear the memo, while the son is left with a phone that can only replay the tragedy.